quick, when you hear music like that, what does it make you think, or how does it make you feel?
Super Mario Brothers!
Dig Dug? Oh man, how does it make you feel? What do you think of? A video game, of course. Any specific, and what else? How does it make you feel when you think of that? Classic Mario, right? Anybody played Classic Mario before? Yes, so Nintendo. We got, look, when life was simple, it was just A or B.
Yes.
Right? That was it. 2 buttons. 2 buttons, right? Now,
It was all pixelated.
yeah, very, very pixelated, but hey, it's still super good. Listen, guys, this series, we're going to do a brand new series for the month of November. And we're calling it, all right, Level Up, all right? And now the whole theme of Level Up is this right here, all right? I want you to repeat after me, so I want to make sure you're listening, all right? I want you to say leadership for me.
Leadership.
All right, everybody else, it was like 80% of y'all because I'm watching. Ready? Again, say leadership. All right, listen, we are talking for the month of November, this idea of leadership. Now, I guarantee you, some of you I know very well, some of you I'm starting to know, but I guarantee you I know this one thing of each and every one of you. You all have dreams to be mediocre. Right? You got dreams to be mediocre, right? No, no one does, right? No one ever, you know, when you ask a little kid, so, little buddy, little Johnny, little Susie, what do you want to be when you grow up? What do you want to do when you grow up? No one ever says, I just kind of want to barely make it. You know, no one ever says that. No one ever says, you know what, if I could make it to lower middle income, straight. And I was like, no one thinks like that. No one says that, right? We all, and I guarantee you, if I could ask each and every one of you, you would all say, big dreams that you used to have. I mean, we all go to bed or wanting to accomplish something great, right? And now if I ask you, like, hey, if I would give you an opportunity right now, say, hey, would you love to do this big thing and be a part and lead this big thing? I'm pretty sure a lot of you, maybe you might be some of you may be scared to take such a big responsibility. Others be like, yeah, let's go, let's do it. But if I guarantee you, if I ask those same people who are just as ambitious to do something big, if I ask them, hey, how about trying to lead in this small way? Same people won't go for that because we all like the hype. We all want to see big things, do big things. We never see the small things for what they are. But let me tell you something, guys, on a personal note, when it comes to leadership, and this is what's on my heart, why I want to talk to you. Because look, my heart as your pastor, and our hearts, Alicia's, all your youth leaders, look, we want to see, each and every one of you, we want to see the God potential in you unleashed. You hear me? Ask anybody else. I was like, am I lying? 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 They're not. They're shaking their heads. No, I ain't lying. Guys, we want to see the God potential in you unleashed. And we can look at history. And their God has literally changed the world with some of the most insignificant people you ever would have thought. Now, him, her, never. And he did. But here's one thing about leadership, guys, that I want you guys to learn now. It took me a while to learn this one. And if you guys can learn this, you're going to set yourself up to allow God to use you in a mighty way. And so when it comes to leading, this is a personal lesson I've learned, guys. I cannot lead anyone if I cannot lead myself. That's where leadership starts. Leadership starts in, can you lead you? Can you lead you? Well, I learned that with worship leading. I'm like, no, if I wanted to be a worship leader, am I leading myself in worship on a regular? Because if I can't lead myself in worship, I can't lead anybody else. And the same thing, if you cannot lead you, then there's nothing else you can do with other people. All right, and that's where we're talking about how, when it comes to leading and being a leader, it all starts with you. And here's the bottom line for today. If we can put it up. It's this right here. Leaders are responsible for how they take responsibility. That's what we're talking about today. That's the theme. Leaders are responsible, okay? Leaders are responsible people, but leaders are responsible for how they take responsibility. Now, if you notice, obviously the Level Up has a video game theme, right? We can put it back on a little classic arcade theme. When I saw Level Up and I saw that, I immediately thought of the first video game. You said classic Mario, right? That was they had a green mushroom. Anybody know that green mushroom, right? You grab the green mushroom. Now green mushrooms.
It's a 1-up.
Maybe it's a little different. Yeah, like one up and whatnot. But every video game has this ability, right, to level up. Right? Anybody? I was talking to a few of these. They were schooling me really quick. Eric and Andres were schooling me on Fortnite. Anybody play Fortnite? Anybody played that before? Figured that out? Whatnot? Yes, no, some so. Now look, Fortnite works the same way any other video game. The purpose of a video game is there's things inside a video game that if you do it, if you accomplish it, if you get this hidden object, or if you accomplish this challenge, what happens? You level up, right? In Mario, if you got that green mushroom, you got an extra life. But no, what the one you wanted was the orange mushroom or that little flower, right? Because you get taller, you get other superpowers that make you better. Like every time you level up, in whatever video game you've ever played, every time you level up, you're able to do what you want to do better, right? You can accomplish, you're more effective, you're more efficient. Fortnite, right? The same thing. You accomplish a challenge, you gain objects, and you're able to be better and accomplish more things, beat more people, whatnot. Headshots, that's a different story, but whatever, right? And so, but listen, if you don't play video games, this works the same way with anything else, right? Let's say intelligence, like the smarter you get at something, right, the better you are. When you can do this, then you know you can accomplish this. Same thing, guys. And so the thing with what we're discussing, when we say leaders are responsible for how they take responsibility, over the next 3 weeks, well actually 1 week break, but we're going to look at 3 types of people in the Bible. We're going to look at 3 examples. And now there's plenty. I can pick way more than 3, but we only focus on 3. Who had a challenge that was set before them, and they failed. It was a challenge that if they would have accomplished this challenge, they would have learned so much and they would have grown in their leadership abilities to be able to lead better and do more. But they failed. And we're going to look at their 3 failures. So hopefully we can learn from their mistakes so we can avoid them. And then we're also going to compare it to Jesus and how Jesus had the same opportunity as these people and how he approached it. And he approached it very differently. And so guys, listen, the same works in life. I want to say this, I wrote it down. There are certain nuggets of wisdom that we can obtain. Yeah, nuggets, like little pieces of information, right? Whatnot. There's little nuggets of wisdom that we can obtain that can help us when we face our problems. But the more obstacles that we overcome through wisdom and knowledge, the more effective leader we will be. So let's look at one instance, okay? One instance where somebody failed that we can learn from their mistakes. Now, you guys know this story. We're going to go all the way from the beginning. Ready? Adam and Eve. You guys know the situation, right? So if you don't, just to give you a quick backstory. I know for some people, they're like, look, hey, really, 6 days? That's the side part, all right? I want you guys to look at the big story here. Because there's something that happened that you and I can learn about. And because you and I face these circumstances today. And so the situation was Adam and Eve were together, right? They were all butt naked nasty, right? Already, that's how it was back then. They didn't have anything. It was just what it was, and there was no clothes, and that was the situation. It was just them two, so it was okay, nobody. And so they're out there, and they got the whole garden, this whole thing that God made. But God said, look, man, this is one area, this is one thing you need to avoid. Do not eat from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. And he says, because if you do, you're going to die. And the devil slides over, form of a snake, right? And says, hey, God's lying to you. God's holding out on you. See, did he really say you're going to die? No. See, God knows that if you eat from this, you're going to learn something, and you're going to be just like him. And see, God don't want you on his level. He wants to control you. He wants to keep the best for himself. And so Eve was like, really? That sounds interesting. And so Eve got enticed by, oh my gosh, I'm missing out on something. I don't want to, you guys do it all the time, right? I don't want to miss out, right? That we call it something. It's called FOMO, right? F-O-M-O. That's a thing. FOMO. The reason why some of you are itching to look at your phone right now is because, am I missing out on something? I want to know. That's FOMO, right? The fear of missing out. And so Eve was like afraid. Wait a minute, if that's true, I can be like God? Okay. But here's the situation. Adam failed twice. You know why? Because see, God, even though God made Adam and Eve equal, he put an extra responsibility on Adam. He said, look, Adam, if anything happens, you're in charge. Like, if something goes down, it's on you. And so Eve, I know sometimes with ladies, y'all get the bad rap because, Eve, why she gotta be like that? Because of her, now my life is, right? But you know who you gotta blame? Not Eve. You have to blame Adam. You have to blame Adam. You know why? Because Adam was sitting there listening to the devil talk to Eve and say everything. Adam should have stepped up at some point and be like, hey, fella, hold on, that's my lady right here. Oh, wait a minute. See, you mistaken, sir. That is not what the Lord said. That is not what God said. We're going to do this, and this is how we're going to be. You needs to go. No, Adam should have done that. Adam should have done that. Adam was back there thinking, he was like, oh, wait, really? Is that true too? Hey, fellas, listen, there's a bunch of snakes out there. Don't let any snake in between you and your lady, just so you know, right? That's the situation. But anyways, moving on. Okay, focus. Check it here. Hold on, I gotta go. Listen. He failed by not intervening. But you know what? He really failed because he was responsible. God enters now the scene. And he's looking for Adam and Eve. And they're hiding. Because they knew something is wrong, something is different. What we thought was going to make life better now has made it worse. We are missing out. Their perfect relationship with God was broken. Because, I mean, guys, listen, the fall that happened, right? When we say that it was more than just eating a piece of fruit and, ooh, now they're in trouble. They literally broke faith with God. And the way the Hebrew words are used in this moment, it's like describing a divorce. I mean, it was a violent, emotional, and spiritual break between God and mankind for the first time. This was rough. And so God shows up, looking for Adam and Eve. Hey, why are you hiding? I was like, oh, because we realized that we're naked. And then God has this crazy question. Who told you you're naked? Like, this is funny. I think it's funny sometimes the Bible's awkward. You know what I'm saying? God said, who told you you were naked? Who told you that? How'd you know? I was like, oh, and look what Adam says. Genesis 3 through 12. This is an account of Moses, and Adam responds back and says, listen, God, the woman who you gave to me, she gave me this fruit and I ate it. Look, who is Adam blaming? He's not blaming, but who else?
God.
No, he's blaming God. God is saying, God, the woman you gave me, caused me to slip and fall. Bro, I was just minding my own business. I turned around. She's like, oh my gosh, what happened? Oh no. You know, like, no, it didn't happen like that, bro. Putting it on like, oh, it just happened. She just threw it in there and like, oh, what am I doing? I mean, oh, no. He was like, bro, God, listen, look how crazy that is. The woman you gave me. God, this is your fault. You know what's crazy is that Eve was like, Eve, I don't know, you've all done it. You've all gotten in trouble. And you knew somebody else, and then you wanted to throw them under the bus too. Like, oh, I'm not going down by myself. Like when Adam says, oh, the woman you gave me, you know what Eve then said? God looks at Eve and like, wait, what happened? Eve was like, no, see, the serpent was, and then she let everybody be passing the blame. Guys, how often do we do that? It's so easy to pass the blame, right? To pass the blame on other people. Why? Listen, let me tell you something about here, guys. So failing to take responsibility is a form of pride. Failing to take personal responsibility for your mistake is a form of pride. And leaders, prideful people don't make good leaders. Can you say it again? Oh, repeat it. Okay, I'm going to say that again. Okay. Failure to take responsibility is a form of pride. Guys, look, you and I, we've done it, I've done it. Right? No one wants to own they messed up. Why? It's embarrassing. Then you got to sit through somebody lecture you, right? And when you know your mom is right, or when you know your dad is right, or grandpa or granddad is right, and you got to sit there and hear, mijo, you know, it's like whatever, and then they got to give you the thing and tell you, like, yes, and you got to be like, it's just, it's torture. It's like, no, this is, every word they tell you what you need to do is right. It's just a reminder of how much you failed. Like, no one likes to own their mistakes because it's embarrassing. You're constantly having your failure put in front of you, right? That's not fun. But listen, taking a leader is responsible for how they take responsibility. And a good leader knows when to take responsibility. Because see, if one who doesn't, guys, again, that's pride. And the dangerous thing about pride is that it causes us, the thing about pride is that it causes us to be quick to see the faults in others and slow to see the same faults in us. That's pride. That's a dangerous spot to be, guys. Pride means that it forces you, and it's easier to see the mistakes and the faults in other people, but it causes you to be slow at seeing the same things, if not worse than you. And that keeps you from leading you. You can't lead yourself if you are not honest with yourself. You hear me? You cannot truly lead yourself if you're not honest with yourself. And if you can't lead yourself, you're not good. You're not going to be able to lead a football team, a basketball team, a choir team. You ain't going to lead your family, your future family. You ain't going to be able to lead that if you ain't true with you. A good leader, listen guys, is responsible. They're willing to give praise where credit is due, but what's even harder is when a person is humble enough to own up to their mistakes. Look, I'll give you a quick example, but I can't give you details. Okay? During camp, a lot of you guys were at camp. You guys loved it. You guys don't even know all the work that was going behind the scenes, right? Praying and all that stuff for camp. But listen, something went down at camp that y'all don't know went down. Can't tell you, but secret. Stuff was happening behind the scenes. And it got a little heated. It got a little, dangerous. Those were circumstances that were going down. And me, I was in charge. I could have easily, and I hate to say this because I don't want to come off like, I'm going to talk about myself. No, listen, I hate talking about myself, but I got to be honest. I could have easily have pointed the finger at 10 or 12 different things and be like, oh, so-and-so. It's because of that. It's because of her, because of him, because of this. But I knew that I had these 7 people that were working with me. And I'm like, you know what? This is going to hurt. It's going to be a tough pill to swallow. And we had a meeting late at night and y'all were sleeping. And I said, guys, look, this is what's going down. This is what's happening. This is what's happening. This is what's happening. I got to own that. That's on me. That. Okay? Because here I am, like, I'm afraid of saying it. Because now, what if I say, listen, I made a mistake, fellas. I made a mistake, guys. This is everything that's going on. It's my fault. I could have easily, any one of them could have been like, oh my gosh, well, I don't want to look bad in front of my leaders. I don't want to look bad in front of the people I'm leading. What are they going to think of me now? Oh, they're not going to want me to, that was pride that I was wrestling with. And I knew that the most important thing was to be honest. And that was difficult. But just curious. I kind of earned some respect from you guys, didn't I?
100%, bro.
I earned some, and I knew that I was like, if I had to be real with them and me, and it was hard, guys. Listen, it was not easy to admit, listen, I messed up. And look, some of the stuff wasn't even my fault. But technically it was, because I'm in church. So I owned it. I was like, look, it's mine. I could have done better, and I will do better next time. And so that's what if you cannot lead yourself and be honest with yourself, guys, pride is going to keep you from being a good leader. In fact, let me show you. So Adam fell multiple times, failed his test. He couldn't level up as a leader because he failed in these 2 instances. Well, let's look at Jesus. Look at this verse. Paul is writing this church in Corinth. Okay, the city in Corinth, right, this Greek city, trying to help them to understand how beautiful and great and amazing God is. To try to get them to understand, because they lived in a rich city. When they felt like, you know what, I got this, I got that, I got this, I got that. And he wanted them to see, no, you got more in Jesus than you know. Let me tell you about it. And Paul writes this. In 2 Corinthians 5:21, he writes this. For our sake, again, whose sake is Paul talking about? For whose, guys? For God's sake? For his sake? What is it? For our, meaning you and I. For our sake, Jesus made, or he made him, God made Jesus to be sin, who knew no sin, so that in him we might become the righteousness of God.
Amen.
That God made Jesus to be sin, who never sinned. So let's compare Adam, guys, and Jesus really quick to wrap this up. Let's compare Adam and Jesus on how they took responsibility. Adam, when given the chance to own up to personal responsibility to his mistake, what did he do? He passed the blame. Now, let's say if Adam would have done the right thing. If Adam would have been like, God, listen, it's on me. It's my fault. Don't blame me. Let me get that period situation. Don't blame her. I'll take it. I don't know. And it's like, whatever. And so he's like, look, blame me, don't blame her. I failed, not her. I made a mistake. If somebody who owns up to their mistake, do we not acknowledge them? We're like, yo, that's big of you, bro. Right? When anybody does that, don't we respect a person who is willing to own up to their own mistakes?
Yes.
Then how should we approach to Jesus, who owned up, not to his mistakes, who owned up to ours? How should we respect and view Christ, who didn't own up to his mistakes because he never made one? Being God, he never sinned. But rather, he owned up to our mistakes. That's why Jesus is not just an amazing leader. That's why Jesus is leading and is still leading people from hell to heaven because of what he did.
Amen.
Because he not only he was honest, but he was willing to take the responsibility of other people. And listen, because Jesus lives today, you and I can leverage that love. Because again, why did he do it, guys? For whose sake? For his own sake? Did he do it to better himself? He did it for whose sake? He did it for others' sake. Listen, when you lead from a place of pride, you only serve yourself. If you lead from a place of pride, you only serve yourself. But if you can lead from a place of love, you serve others. If you lead from a place of love. And so look at Jesus. Look what he did. And he did it because of love. And because, guys, he is alive today, you and I can leverage that powerful love to be honest with ourselves. So not only can we lead ourselves, but so the Lord can lead us. So the Lord can lead us in that same love so we can be a blessing. Listen, guys, you will find amazing blessings when you put people before yourself.
Amen.
There is an amazing blessing. Sometimes we think that leadership is, all right, I'm going this way. Everybody follow me. Sometimes we think leadership is that way, but Jesus showed us a different form of leadership. Not one of, I'm going forward and I'm dragging on with me. A different form of leadership that comes alongside of us and says, hey, I'm going to bring you up. Let's go together. It's not a me first, everybody behind me. It's reversed. It's this position where it's not me first, you second. That's not Jesus' leadership. Jesus' leadership was you first, me second. That's how Jesus led, guys. Jesus led you first, guys. Me second. I'm going to put your good, your sake in front of my comfort. I'm going to put your soul in front of my suffering. And he led by example. And guys, us, we ought to do the same thing. Because notice, if Jesus can lead from a place of love, look at how he is changing the world. And if you and I can learn to be responsible, owning up to our responsibilities, owning up to our failures, owning up to our faults and mistakes, you know what God says in his word, and Paul said it in other times? He says, when I realize I am weak, that's when I'm strong. Because God says, I am strong in your weakness. But God cannot be strong in your weakness if you don't recognize, and you're honest with yourself, and you recognize that you're weak, that I need you here. That's when that's how you can lead yourself, and the Lord leads you when you are honest with him, not prideful. You can't. I mean, guys, listen. Prideful people make horrible leaders. Why? Because no one likes to follow them. Prideful people make horrible leaders because no one likes to follow prideful people, because they know, bro, you're all about you. I don't follow you because you're all about you. Let me give you this crazy quote. I know it was elections all this weekend and whatnot this week. Let me give you this crazy quote from a past president. Ronald Reagan said this. I love this quote. There is no limit to the amount of good you can do if you don't take credit for who. I'm going to say it again. There's no limit to the amount of good you can do if you don't care who gets the credit. Just simmer on that for a minute. That's what a leader is. That's leadership. That's Jesus right there. There's no limit to the amount of good you can do if you don't care who gets the credit. So you know what a good leader is? You know what a good leader does? A good leader, when let's say whatever you're at, if you're in school, you're in a group, you're in a squad, you're in this, you're not, whatever it is, when people do good, you give credit where credit is due. Say, yo man, look at my boy, look what he did. Oh, I can't believe I'm awesome. Right? And a good leader though, when something goes wrong, even if it was not your fault, you say, you know what, I'm the leader though. I'm taking on me. If you're not willing to do that, then you can't be a leader. You can't level up as a leader like that. But when you're willing to say, look, I don't care who gets the credit. I don't care who gets the credit. It's not about me. For the sake of others, like Jesus. It wasn't about him, it was for us. For the sake of others. If we can learn to lead in this way, guys, there's no limit to the amount of good that God can do. So I'm going to give you the bottom line one last time. Because we're talking about leaders, and so the challenge that you all face today is this right here. Leaders are responsible for how they take responsibility. Leaders are responsible for how they take responsibility. Listen, you are a leader. Do you know that you don't have to have a following to be a leader? You don't. You don't have to have a following to be a leader. You don't have to have, people that was like, all right, who's my people I'm leading? Okay, you guys. Like, you don't. You can lead. All God needs is, listen, watch me. How many numbers am I holding up? One. Over and over again in the scriptures, we see that God is just looking for one person to lead themselves and to be led by God. And each time one person showed up, God did something amazing. And so, right here, guys, leaders are responsible. You got to own up to what your decisions and your faults and everything, you got to own up to it and own up before God. But if you can be responsible enough to own and take responsibility for your actions, guys, you are going to grow. And you're going to level up and be the kind of leader who's going to be able to lead a company and do great things in this world. To be able to lead a church and do amazing things in this world. To lead a family who's going to leave an amazing legacy in this world. Good, whatever, girl, boy, young and old. God is looking for people. And He just needs one.
Amen.
But you have to be honest with yourself. Say, Lord, I got to own up to certain things. This is who I am. This is where I'm at. Lord, be strong in my weakness. Guys, if you can get to that kind of a place, you're going to level up and be a more effective leader. And those are the ones that God is looking for to change the world. And that can be you.